Today I'd like to talk to you about the short story Wolf Trapping, written by the incredible Kij Johnson. The story Wolf Trapping is a haunting tale of two people who meet in the middle of nowhere, and as improbable as that is, it gets even more interesting. Okay, on to the short story. There will be spoilers. Wolf Trapping appears in At the Mouth of the River of Bees, an anthology of Kij Johnson's many great works. Now with Wolf Trapping, the first person that we meet in the story is the central character of the tale, and his name is Richard, and he is a researcher doing a wolf study of some kind in the remote locations near the Horsehead Mountains. While he's transcribing some notes into a notebook, Richard hears a wolf calling out in pain. His immediate reaction is to get his snowshoes on, grab his rifle, which is a .30-30, and head out towards the sound of the trouble. By the time he gets there, the wolf has freed herself. He's not entirely sure how, but he can see that the wolf is bleeding. She's favoring the paw that got caught in the trap, and the wolf runs away, and the next thing he encounters is another human being. And that is the last thing that he expected to run into in the middle of nowhere. It's a very remote location, and anyone who would have been in the area left a long time ago. Tourist season, as it were, is over, and winter is coming, and this is a region where winter kills. And as he talks with this person, this woman that he has run into, he learns that her name is Addie, and that she is in the middle of nowhere with no food, no water, very thin protective clothing, and really no plan. Richard is initially appalled by what he sees with Addie's condition. She has signs of frostbite on her body. She looks malnourished. Her hair is greasy, she's dirty, and she's clearly having a very hard time. But when he inquires about helping her, she doesn't want any help. Addie is there to commune with the wolves. Richard is a rational man. He's a man of science, and he says so right in the story. Addie's disposition and behavior, probably is leading Richard to think that she's crazy, or, that's an unkind word, perhaps disturbed. And the more he looks into it, the more he's not even sure of that. It would appear as you're reading the story that there is something wrong with Addie. She's touched in a certain way. But this is a Kij Johnson story. So while you're reading a Kij Johnson story, you're also anticipating magic, or something supernatural. Kij has written her amazing fox magic stories, which take place in Asia, and and they're just sublime in their settings and their interpretations of the folklore of the region. And so you see that kind of maybe moved over here to a Western setting, and it's kind of the opposite of that. This woman has completely thrown away any semblance of an ordinary life to try and go live among the wolves. But as Richard tells her, that's a fantasy. That's a delusion inside of your head. You can't just go live among the wolves. There's a mystical feel to this story, but there's also a feeling that it is talking about being mentally disturbed. And on the one hand, you find yourself asking, is Maddie understandably mentally disturbed and in need of help? And are Richard's impulses are correct? And on the other hand, has Maddie made some kind of a mystical connection with the wolves, and she's going to go and become one of them? That's the beauty of a Kij Johnson story, isn't it? I found myself wondering throughout the reading of this story, I kept saying to myself, oh, she's a wolf that turned into a human to try to help save the wolf who was stuck in that wolf snare. But, reality in the story steps in, because Addie planted that snare to catch rabbits, not wolves, because she was, trying to feed herself. But there are, of course, other poachers in the region, so it's entirely possible. As I was reading the story, I think that at some point in the story, I wanted it to be Addie was transmogrifying into a wolf. But, you know, she's not a werewolf or a wolf woman or, you know, or any other kind of changeling or shapeshifter or, you know, just all the great things that we read about and know about all the time. But I was kind of hoping that that was what it was going to be. But, you know, once you read the ending, the complete ending, which I'm not going to spoil for you here, you know, it kind of comes home that, you know, you have these hopes that something mystical is going to happen. And instead, it's something tragic. And it's just so fucking well done. I wish I could write that well. I'll keep trying.